So here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today. We'll take a look at some clips from the news, have some dialogue. It is Super Tuesday, after all. You can find me Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube on Coffee Talk and Prep University. That is at Coffee Talk Live and at Prep University. You can find me on X, otherwise known as Twitter, at Coffee Talk Chat. And you can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. As we get ready to jump off here, and I do read through as many of the comments as I can. So I'll go ahead and say hello to some of the people that have chimed in thus far. I say Hugo is here, as well as Dragon, D-Lo, Brian is here, Monkey is here so far, saying hello anyway. I have 3 felines in the room. I've got Daniel in the chair behind me. I've got Granny Smith on the floor. And Monkey is in here as well, but you can't see him. You can't see him where he's hiding. Can't see where he's hiding. As we get ready to jump off here, of course, it is Super Tuesday, because, of course, it is the U.S. presidential election, as well as many other elections, large and small, senators and local stuff of all kinds. There's a lot going on right now, and they're all coming out for it. I saw, and I put a picture up. There is a caravan of Amish with Trump flags on their wagons headed in to vote. I see Helter has joined us. Glad you could make it today. Thanks for chiming in. So I know people are watching that choose not to say anything, and that's fine. That is fine. As we get ready to jump off here, I know that some people may think that Harris is quaking in her boots. And Nature Nerd isn't sure how the election will turn out. Hey, you never know. You don't know till the fat lady sings, unless somebody's holding her hostage, which is very likely the case right now. Willing to bet the fat lady is being held for ransom. And this is going to be a Hill article. The Hill. Eventually, there it is. Black leaders voice confidence that black men will show up for Harris. Lord knows they've been badgered enough. They've been told enough by even former President Barack Obama that they need to step up and hook a sister up. It's ridiculous. See, RL30 has joined us, as well as Rodney. Glad you could make it today. Trying to put pressure on them based on their skin color that they need to vote for Harris for that purpose. Even Obama, which doesn't surprise me. And Rodney says, all I can say is if you haven't already, get out and vote. And D-Lo says Trump all day. And Monkey said if the Amish are that out and about with voting, then someone somewhere messed up. Yeah, you have to see it. I put a picture up. I did a post on X and on Coffee Talk. But yeah, blacklist for Harris. Vice President Harris and her allies are making a final appeal to black male voters in key swing states, hoping to shore up the support of a voting bloc. Some signs of skepticism toward the Democratic nominee. Over the last week, Harris has promoted her opportunity agenda for black men. Hit the airwaves with popular radio star Charlemagne. I'm not going to say the rest title because I think he's way out of line. And visited barbershops around the country, to reach out to black men. I saw Trump going to barbershops. I don't recall Harris going to barbershops, did she? Polls suggest that the effort is helping her. Do they? Never trust polls. The Alliance for Black Equality, a super PAC mobilizing black voters in swing states, found that Harris increased her support by 10 points with Black Generation Z men since early October. I do think we're going to turn out in this election I do think we're going to participate. Carly Thompson, founder of Win Win Black Men, told The Hill. Thompson also said Harris's focus on abortion rights will resonate with black men. What? Seriously now. He really said that. Let me read that again. Did I read that wrong? Oh my God. He thinks that Harris's focus on abortion rights will resonate with black men. Why would black men think that abortion rights resonates with them? Can someone explain that? Can someone explain that to me? John is here. Glad you could make it, as well as Country Living. And Nature Nerd says it sounds like 49% voted before Election Day. Well, you know, those cemeteries, they got to get ahead of it. Nature Nerd says, I like how Florida counts the votes in real time. Even early votes were counted as they were turned in. Monkey says, I've wondered how that worked. If an Amish person votes, how does that process go when typically Amish don't have much to prove? They're a U.S. citizen. And Helter says they aren't voting for her because she's a terrible candidate that didn't win a primary vote elected by American citizens. And Tuck said they voted this morning. There you go, Rodney. Charlemagne the wanker. Thank you. Because he is by no means a god through any definition of the term. Okay? Even a demigod. No. I don't think that you got to think about the brass cojones it takes to go around telling people you're a god. Is he Caesar? He's going to declare himself a god. Pharaoh, maybe. I have decided I am also a god. Worship me. It's pathetic. Monkey says maybe so they don't gather up paying different baby mamas. Yeah, Jericho says cemeteries and everyone's pets were first in line. I know it. And aliens. And I meant the outer space kind. Brian says it's liberals. Yeah, liberals. I mean, because quite frankly, it has been made quite clear. It has been made very clear. Men have no say in anything that revolves around abortion. There's a big double standard with that whole thing. They'll take your support, but if you're against it, how dare you say anything? You're a man. You don't understand. Mind your own business. Yeah, okay. So if I have no say in the matter or no rights in the matter, what the hell do I care about abortion rights? Just being honest. Tuck says it takes time to go from the crypt to crypt collecting votes. That's why the Stalincrats love early voting. And Nature Nerd says some states like Washington and Oregon are 100% vote by mail. It's convenient, but it's also a disaster. Yeah, because anything can happen. Anything can happen with those. Colley also says, I do think we're going to turn out in this election. I think we're going to participate. Yeah. And they talk about surveys here. I don't really give a damn about surveys because you can't trust any of them. You can't trust surveys because they don't survey enough people for it to be legitimate. But yeah, black men for Harris. Black men for Harris. Got to vote for the sister. Give the sister a chance. Know what I'm saying? Homeboys for Harris. Oh my God. So ridiculous, the pandering. I'm going to be everyone's president. I can't tell. I can't tell if you're going to be everybody's president. I can't tell. All people said Harris. Harris talking about her lineage. That she doesn't have enough in her lineage to even be considered mulatto. Nobody's challenging her on it. Nobody is challenging her on it, all people. I mean, it's mentioned from time to time in the media, but it's usually scoffed. It's usually brushed off. And there are plenty of people that are on board with that concept. Oh, yeah, I got to give a sister a chance. You know, she a black woman because she said that she was. That was enough. That was enough. Nature Nerd suggests Democrats will lose elections sooner than later if they keep encouraging terminating their grandchildren. Country says, as a father of 5, I know firsthand that I have a say in what happens with my children, even in the womb. You know what I mean, though, country living. You know what I mean. For statistically speaking, and when it comes to these people, you have no voice. Simon says, vote like your life depends on it, because it does. That's pretty much what Elon Musk was saying when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast. He suggested that this could be your last chance before they fix the government. Jane is here, says, wonder what the gender reveal will be for the new POTUS. No kidding. And Rodney says, Harris leaving a bunch of black men in jail long after they were due for release shouldn't be forgotten. Oh, that's all in the past, Rodney. It's all in the past. And Legend says the picture you put up should be a meme. I know. And Jane says, what about the one-drop rule for Kamala Harris? Yeah, what about it? What about it? Nobody remembers anything that she did that was negative. It's all been brushed under the rug. All of the things that she took credit for that she was never involved with, all the stories that she made up, all of the actual attempts, that were made to attach herself to things that were actually being done when she was still involved in politics in California, that they have come forward and said she never had anything to do with. It doesn't matter. John says he's a proud non-voter. And Nature Nerd says Kamal is the least Indian person I've ever seen. I mean, come on. These are the people who fabricated a photoshopped McDonald's picture to pretend she worked for McDonald's, because there's still no proof. Here's the thing. Donald Trump, like him or hate him, okay? Like him or hate him, at least you can look at him and you get the impression, okay, that's who this guy is. Okay? He might be rough. He might be arrogant. He might say snarky things or seem inappropriate. But you can look at him and say, okay, that's probably genuinely how he is. With these other people, Obama, Big Mike, Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Harris, Walz, all of these people, everything they do feels so phony and so made up. They feel so phony and so made up. Like everything that they're doing is orchestrated. You can't trust anything that they say. Like they're faking their way through everything. It's so disingenuous, and that ought to really turn people's stomachs. Jane says, do you think Kamala will be a good POTUS if she gets it? No. She can't even speak without the teleprompter rolling. As was demonstrated recently, the teleprompter went down, and she kept repeating the last line and nervously laughing. This is a puppet. She doesn't have an opinion on anything. Her opinion is what she's told to have. I don't know who's pulling the strings specifically. You could speculate on that all day. But when you get out there and you can't even demonstrate your thoughts without it being written out in front of you, without somebody telling you what to say, that's some scary crap. Okay? That's some scary crap. Juan says, I grew up in Atlantic City. Trump was bad 30 years ago, staying home today. Jane says, will citizens know by January 2025 who it is? It takes that long to verify the tallies. Yeah, until January 20th, I believe, right? Rodney says, from their perspective over in New Zealand, Donald Trump is by far the better candidate by orders of magnitude. I have something interesting that'll help to demonstrate that actually here in a few minutes. A couple more. Country says vote for policies and what the candidates have done, not personality. The personalities are all phony anyway. And Rodney made a donation to the channel. Thank you, Rodney. Everybody, Monkey was just scratching my chair. I don't know where he went. Where'd you go, buddy? He ran off. Well, Daniel's still back there. Daniel thanks you. I thank you. Very much appreciated. Oh, and I'll take a moment here to thank the people who thus far have helped with the GoFundMe for the rescue cats. Charles, Hal, Sharon, Bruce, Mark, Albert, Rodney, Emma, John, Ann, Gail, Clyde, CR, Ricky, and Renee, who have helped with the GoFundMe. And there it is again, in case anybody is looking for it. Much appreciated. Very much appreciated. And Fluke Man has joined us. I'm going to throw this up about, from all people, talking about the SCOTUS outlawed the racist one-drop rule in 1967 via the Loving case because it was an example of anti-black racism. Claims blacks have fake blood, unscientific and unconstitutional. And RL30 said, non-American here, does it really take more than a day to know who was elected? Probably not, but there's a big befuddled mess, and there will be, especially when you have that many votes, when you have things that are going on that are shady or questionable, or you need to verify things. You know, the more people that are involved in the voting process, because allegedly Biden received 81 million votes last time. I find it hard to believe that many people even voted. Anyways, I thought this particular story was interesting, talking about being phony. And this is a Fox News article. Harris greets Pennsylvania family on the porch and suggests staging a door knock. So Vice President Kamala Harris had a clear idea of where she wanted a family to stand as she talked to them during a door-knocking photo opportunity in Pennsylvania. Harris joined canvassers in Reading, Pennsylvania, as cameras captured the Democratic presidential nominee walking up to the porch where one family was standing outside saying, "Hi, guys, sorry for the intrusion." A man exclaims, "Oh my gosh," as Harris embraces him, a woman, and presumably their son. The man is heard saying, "I wasn't expecting that. Thought it was Shapiro," referring to Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro, who has been campaigning with Harris in recent days. "Well, I want to door knock," Harris tells the family. "Oh, you want to do a door knock?" the man asks before Harris says yes. And they all turn to walk back to their door as photographers reposition themselves for the shot. And there it is. Let's all pretend that we're going to knock on the door. Okay, let's do that. Durr, hello. Oh my gosh, you is presidential nominee Harris. Ugh. It's pathetic. Oh my God. Jane says, I heard 5 phony bomb threats in Union City, Georgia at polls today, said that Russians did it. Something like that. Yeah, I've heard that there's accusations of them messing with packages on an airline. And Undercover Ruski made it. Glad you could make it, as well as Semper Fi. Nature Nerd says India has 1.5 billion people and they know who won the election in a day. How many of them actually vote? How many of them vote? Let me throw that up from All People really quickly. You can read that, talking about Kamala's some of Kamala's history there. And she thinks most American blacks are Baptist, he suggests. But yeah, there's your phoniness that I was just talking about. You can't just have an organic response and walk up to the porch if you are out walking up, if that whole thing wasn't fully set up, and just say, hey, I'm not just out here walking around meeting people. Oh, okay, cool. All right. No, we gotta turn it into a fake photo op, because they're all phonies. They're all phonies. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I'm tired of it. Brian says, look at his chin. Yeah, Monkey says it sounds like one of those school projects where they can literally tell no one's trying. Helter says she's not in the less affluent neighborhoods, but rather visiting the white upper class brick home area. And Monkey said no one's trying to act. Yeah, I'll just breeze through these real quick and move on here. Jericho says it's so annoying how everything has to be acted out and not be genuine. That's the world we live in. It's also fake now. Country says Walls' wife, excuse me, did a not set up door knocking canvassing, and the first door, the lady was amazingly wearing a Harris Waltz shirt. What a coincidence. And League of Smoke has joined us. Glad you could join us today. Thanks for popping in. Dragon says that looks totally awkward. Nothing this woman does looks genuine or relaxed and neighborly, unlike Trump, who looks like he fit into every neighborhood. And when he does something that's like a stunt, you know it's a stunt. He presents it as a stunt, like with the garbage truck. You knew what he was doing. You know what he was doing. He wasn't just pretending, oh, Jim, I just wanted to ride around in a garbage truck. No. And Lucky is here. Glad you could make it. He says, figured he'd say hey. As you can imagine, and this is part of the problem, we were being asked a little bit earlier by RL30. This is exactly the kind of crap we're talking about. Let me pull up this this clip really quick, if I can, because there's a video ad trying to play on it, and I want to stop the ad. Just give me a moment here to get this going. And this is going to be a Newsweek article. Newsweek article. If Restream gets it going here, because I don't want them to choke up on me. Sometimes I have to drop the article. Pennsylvania voting equipment counties. No, you think? Several election ballot scanners are currently inoperative at multiple polling locations in Cambria and Bedford counties in Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania Department of State said that it is in contact with officials in Cambria County to resolve the technical issue. Shouldn't that have been long since taken care of? Voters are continuing to vote by paper ballot in accordance with normal operations while the county resolves the issue in precinct scanning, the department wrote on X. We are working with the county to resolve this technical matter and remain committed to ensure a free, fair, and safe and secure election. What we have here is a failure to communicate. Cambria County Attorney Ron Repack said that, oh, that's a terrible last name. Hi, my name is Repack. Oh, God. said that a software malfunction, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, had caused the issue, and that a court order had been filed to extend voting times. Oh, thank God. I have also heard that there has been problems with voting machines in California and Washington State. The ones in California, I don't know if anyone has seen this yet. I know it's been circulating on X because people have been taking shorts that it's got the Trump box, Trump Vance box, and then underneath it is the Harris Walls box. And that when you tap Trump, Harris lights up and they can't tap the screen. And I've seen shorts of that going up all over the place, and that's California. And they're looking into it. They're looking into it. Flukeman says, I'm surprised Russia's education system teaches the kids Trump was robbed of the 2020 election. I would, though it be opposite, because Putin has advantages over Biden, but weak against Trump. Yeah, but you're more inclined to see the truth about another country in a different country than you are in your own country. So they have the freedom to, if they really believe or they have evidence, okay, I think something was faked in the UK. I think something was faked in the United States. I think something was France, and you're in an Eastern Bloc European country. You can get away with saying something about it. They couldn't say something if they thought Putin robbed the election, but we could. You know how that works. Tuck says exactly, the garbage truck looked like it rolled out of a showroom. That part made me laugh right there. And Country says, of course, voting issues in a swing state. Yeah, I can't imagine. I don't know how that happened. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I've been hearing about problems with those machines all over the place. They're a nightmare. And this is part of the issue with putting all your eggs in one basket, electronically speaking. How many stories have we read in the last year where there's some kind of a international blackout of certain banks, you can't use your card or whatever because of some system failure or some upgrade that went wrong. That's dangerous to have everything relying on a single system like that. A single system like that. And that's where we are with voting machines right now. As we catch up here, Helter says every time there's a voting problem, it's usually the Democrats that are not affected. What a coincidence. And Country said someone posted their ballot had a small dot in the Harris box. I've heard a couple of reports of that. Interesting. Dragon says, considering all the highly reliable tech available in the world today, who honestly believes this is not deliberate? It's 2020 all over again. That could be. That's why, who is it? Mark Dice put out a video urging people to go and vote. He says he believes that a lot of people are not going to go because they think that the previous election was robbed and that it's going to happen again, so why bother? He's made that argument in a video, I think, this morning. Nature Nerd says, are California Democrats being threatened enough to mess with the machines? I mean, are there any Republicans running in California at all for their local stuff? I don't know. Rodney says, note the machines all glitch in one direction. Yeah, it's funny how that works. But this doesn't surprise me, unfortunately. This does not surprise me, unfortunately. That was a Newsweek article that we just looked at. As we move again, this is something I just wanted to run over really quickly. This is a little bit old news. This is going to be the Detroit news. The Detroit news. And it's talking about dear old, reliable, old, transparent, old, going to save us, Uncle Joe. And I mean Uncle Joe Biden, not Uncle Joe Stalin, although I can't tell the difference anymore. And you've heard this. Biden goes off script again with a macho guy's comment at campaign stop. President Joe Biden returned to his birthplace in Pennsylvania, if that's true, making a final campaign stop Saturday for Vice President Kamala Harris, and again let loose, offering the kind of unfiltered political sentiments that have become common in recent weeks. Biden slammed Harris's rival, former Republican President Trump, and his supporters on policy issues during a speech in Scranton, but then suggested that he'd kick back literally on fake macho guys. There's one more thing that Trump and his Republican friends want to do. They want to have a giant tax cut for the wealthy, which is not true, by the way. Biden told the local chapter of the Carpenters Union. Then, apparently referencing people backing Trump, he added, now, I know some of you guys are tempted to think it's macho guys. I tell you what, man, when I was in Scranton, we used to have a little trouble going down the plot once in a while. These are the kind of guys you'd like to smack in the ass. Yeah. What kind of smacking you talking about? You talking about kicking their ass, or you talking about a little, a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge, here's $50 action. I love how he's trying to talk tough, like he's from the Warriors. Warriors, come out and play, yay! Yeah, he's the Warriors. I could just see him running around with shirtless with a leather vest, him and his boys, fighting off guys with baseball bats in like bathroom stalls in the park. That is not how Biden grew up. That is not how Biden grew up. Biden is not tough. He never was. He never had to. I doubt he was ever in a fight in his life, ever feared for his life, ever afraid of anything. I'm sure he's been protected from day one. Max says, did Biden cast his ballot for Trump in a way to stick it to Harris for stealing the nominee from him? Good question. Tuck says, was he a greaser or a sock? Yeah, I know. Country says maybe he'd like to sniff them too. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's one of the Warriors, I'm telling you. I tell you what, man, when I was in Scranton, we used to have a little trouble going down the plot once in a while. These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass. Okay, Biden. Okay, Biden, you're not tough. You never were. It sounds pathetic. It makes him sound pathetic. That sounded like it was off script. Okay? That sounded like it was off script. But the the Trump supporters are trash remark was scripted. I don't care what they say, because you could see his eyes moving as he spoke. He was reading. Lucky says he grew up on Coney Island. No, the Warriors were trying to make it to Coney Island. Were they from Coney Island, or were they trying to get back to Coney Island? Were they trying to get back there, or they were trying to make it there so that they could prove that they weren't the one who committed the murder? Rodney says, now all I can think about is that guy smacking the bottles together along with the come out and play line. You know, that was improvised. They told him just do something annoying for the camera, and that's what he came up with, but it stuck. He was the same guy who played Sully in Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger, when Schwarzenegger held him up by one leg and then dropped him off the side of the cliff, and the girl, who is it, Rae Dawn Chong, that's her real name, the actress Rae Dawn Chong, said, "What did you do with Sully?" He go, "Oh, I let him go." I love that scene. Commando's a fun movie. But yeah, there's nothing worse when you thought you've heard it all. Nothing worse than listening to Joe Biden trying to talk tough. And I can't even do a Joe Biden accent because he mumbles and slurs so much. I don't think I can do it.
I'm serious. These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass. You like to smack in the ass.
Oh, pathetic. That's pathetic. Rodney says, I lied. That's right. That's right. He says, Sully, do you remember I told you I was going to kill you last? That's right, Matrix. You said that. I lied. Great scene. Fun movie. Fun movie. Oh my God.
But I'm serious. These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass. You like to smack in the ass.
Oh, and he says it all snide and creepy too. I wonder if he was talking about, picking up those soft boys on the corner, That if he spent some time on the docks. Who here is a fan of Blackadder? Who remembers Blackadder the second, when he was dead broke and he brought Baldric down to the docks to try to hire him out as a male prostitute? Who remembers that? Kimberly says, late, but I made it. But I make it, Kimberly. You're going to have me showing you Granny Smith in a minute. Tuck says, sounds like Joe was a swinger, but not a fist swinger. Yeah, he's swinging his hips. Nature Nerd says, terrible how 4 million U.S. citizens in U.S. territories aren't allowed to vote. Aren't allowed to vote. But yeah, Biden went off script again. And yeah, they are prepared for trouble. They are prepared for trouble. We already read about the National Guard, but there's more. There's always more, unfortunately. There's more, ladies and gentlemen. As we enter a new era in America, and it's not a good one. Newsweek again, eventually. It's now. Here we go. I think. Here we go. America's new normal. What is this? There we go. America's new normal. Fences are going up across D.C. Election day arrives. Why are we, and that's what this video actually is here. Without the audio, they're putting, and that's that iron grill, not chain link. That was an iron grill he was installing. This is a chain link fence. That's iron grill right there. And with a deck plate, also it's harder to topple over. So they're putting up fences around all of the main buildings in the DC area. That's what's going on right now. And you see also the concrete barriers are up on the other side of those fences. because, yeah, they're worried. Stores in Washington, D.C. have been boarded up but are still promising customers that they are open, while bollards and fences have appeared around key landmarks in the city as the capital prepares for potential unrest on Tuesday and beyond. Why would that happen? What are you afraid of? Why did you surround D.C. with fences and 24,000 National Guard troops January 20th, 2021? Multiple buildings close to the White House had barricaded the windows by Sunday night, while workers were seen during the day erecting anti-scale fencing around the White House complex. Less than 3 miles away at Howard University, anti-car bomb concrete blocks were lowered into place around Vice President Harris's alma mater, where she plans to spend election night watching the results come in. Additional fencing was also erected at the U.S. Naval Observatory, the vice president's official office. So this is all being done to protect Harris and Biden. So they're expecting unrest from people who vote for Trump. Why? Why? You're that sure he's going to lose and people are going to be upset? Is that what's going on? Picario or Picacario is here. Glad you could make it. Kimberly says, who are they really trying to protect? Flukeman says, have you seen Harris's interview with Fox News? She dodged every question. Think she must have found it traumatizing. Wonder if she had another breakdown. No kidding. Max says, do you believe any of the early polling numbers? I remember the polling in 2016 had Hillary, and look how that turned out. Yeah, I mean, we've already had accidentally a couple of news networks had revealed Harris as a winner, and it hasn't even. I mean, they don't even have numbers yet. So where'd you get such precise numbers from already? And then they took it down. I forget which news network that was. It was a couple of them, actually. Nature Nerd suggests we should allow U.S. territories to vote before illegal immigrants. No kidding. Jane says, I heard 6,000 troops, Army, and National Guard around Washington, D.C. on NPR. And yeah, and the swing states also. We read that yesterday. Nevada and Washington State and California have already got National Guard deployed. Rodney says, fortifying D.C. almost as if they planned something they'll enrage the populace. That will enrage the populace. Jane says, Kim, I guess rioters or citizens get upset on both sides. So I try to catch up here. Tuck says, some scrawny, effeminate dude in his 20s came to my door with a shave and a haircut knock and electric skateboard and political pamphlets. And I didn't answer. I don't blame you. Harris says, this is the kind of government the founding fathers warned us about. That is correct. That is why you have the Second Amendment, so that you can defend the First. As I try to catch up here. Dragon says, peaceful transition of power is long dead. Country said they think they're going to lose and they're scared of their own people. Yes. Well, you remember V said, all these movie references today, huh? V said people should not be afraid of their government. A government should be afraid of the people. But yeah, the fences are going up. The fences are going up. The barricades are going up. They're going up. Now this is a good reason why Trump would be considered a better candidate. Brian says Trump is stronger than Biden. I think at this point everybody's stronger than Biden. Now this is an article talking about regulatory costs, and it's from the Tampa Free Press. Very revealing. Biden-Harris administration has piled on Americans nearly $1.78 trillion in regulatory costs. So nearly $2 trillion in new regulations, right? but something very interesting is revealed in this article. The Biden-Harris administration has put in nearly $1.78 trillion worth of rules and regulations as of October since January 2021, with much of that being finalized in the last year, according to the American Action Forum. Just since January, the federal government has produced $1.46 trillion in total net costs from various rules and regulations, with $1.33 trillion in new costs coming from finalized rules, according to the AAF. The total number of finalized regulations put in place as of this year is 327. President Biden's added regulatory costs are dramatically higher than those of former President Trump and Barack Obama, according to the AAF. In the same amount of time it took Biden to rack up $1.78 trillion in regulations, the Obama administration reached $490.5 billion by 2012. So what they suggested here was that in Obama's first year, or first term, he had less than a third of the amount of spending than Biden did. Okay. Now, this is where it gets real interesting, and this is the big reveal. In the same amount of time, the Trump administration, $3 billion. So before Trump, in one term, Obama spends over 490, nearly $500 billion, almost $500 billion in new regulations, new rules. In that same length of time, Biden hits nearly $2 billion in new rules and regulations. Trump, $3 billion. Let that sink in. Kimberly says, I saw on one network that more Republicans vote the day of as opposed to early voting absentee or mail-in. It's because they don't trust the system. Cruising says, of course, they're scared of their own people. Remember, in the summer of love, all the destruction was centered in the heart of Democratic strongholds by Democratic voters. That's right. Remember, the whole world is watching. The whole world is watching. And Boogers has joined us. Semper Fi says, just realize that if Trump wins, Kamala as the vice president must certify the election. That would be an amazing moment. Oh, God. Booger says, keep an eye on Illinois. We have a chance to vote Chicago out of Illinois to make it a separate state. Wouldn't that be something? Yeah, put a wall around it like it's the Vatican. But let that sink in. Let that sink in. This is why the economy is taking a dump right now. In 4 years, Biden spent nearly $2 billion just on new rules, enforcing new rules and regulations. Trump, $3 billion. $3 billion versus $2 trillion. And that's where Trump's experience in business comes from. He don't want to spend unnecessary money, especially when it's borrowed, especially when you have to pay interest on it. We don't have 1.78 trillion extra to spend. Thank you, Biden. It's bad enough Obama spent nearly $500 billion in one term in the same length of time. That's what the comparison is here. I mean, he may have long businesses, but that's a business mindset. I don't want to spend extra money. I don't want to do that. That's smart. What, we don't need more rules and regulations. Enough. We have too many now. You can't keep track. You can't keep track anymore. And how's all that going to be enforced? That's expensive. Flukman says, off topic, British Prime Minister talking about Middle East. I call for immediate cease return for the sausages or hostages. Yes, he accidentally said sausage, or did he? They don't eat pork. You think he could have meant that in a derogatory way? Lucky says, we'll just print more. That's what these people think. So just keep printing it. Country says, shows who will dig the big government, do the big government spending, and who will help bring the economy back in check. And Kimberly says, don't forget Obama borrowed from China also, who really owns us. And Nature Nerd says, enforce $2 trillion on business rules while cutting spending on law enforcement by billions. The Democrats. Yeah, and that's what this is. That's why I thought this was particularly interesting. It's an insane difference. Even $500 million with under Obama sounds insane. What regulations, what rules, what enforcements? You already have your dirty fingers in too many pies as it is. Way too many. And what's that money being spent on, and how, and who's getting it? Whose back is getting scratched at my expense? As we tie this in, Daily Caller article, the Biden-Harris administration routed environmental justice cash to left-wing activists, according to reports. The House Energy and Commerce Committee released a new report Monday detailing how the Biden-Harris administration has given huge amounts of taxpayer cash to left-wing activist groups under the guise of so-called environmental justice. The report highlights how the Biden-Harris Environmental Protection Agency used hundreds of millions of dollars from the Inflation Reduction Act, and we've talked about this a few times, President Joe Biden's signature climate bill, to line the pockets of left-wing activist groups aligned with the administration's sprawling climate and green energy agenda. The use of taxpayer funds to support these activist groups, some of which already receive considerable financial support from large environmentalist outfits like the Environmental Defense Fund and the Energy Foundation, is arguably akin to a taxpayer-funded lobbying operation, which is what the lawmakers are arguing in the report. The lists of organizations selected to receive funding or partner with those organizations include environmental activist organizations that work to influence public and elected officials to adopt their often extreme views, such as completely eliminating the use of fossil fuels, which Americans recognize are an important part of an all-of-the-above energy mix, the report states. While some selected organizations include other types of entities, such as views and missions often align with those of the administration, in effect using taxpayer dollars to promote the Biden-Harris radical energy agenda. All right, so the House has exposed that they're effectively money laundering, using the money to pump up activist groups that promote them politically. What's going to be done about it? Who's going to be pursued? Who's going to go to jail? How much money is going to get recovered? I'm waiting. Is anything going to be done? Kimberly says, I'd rather have a man run the country as a business as opposed to a woman who uses our country as their personal bank account. Exactly. Oh, that's the one thing about Trump, too. He's already a billionaire. You really can't bribe the guy. You can't bribe him. The new report highlights several instances of hardline groups receiving taxpayer cash in the name of, quote, environmental justice, such as the Climate Justice Alliance's receipt of $50 million. The Climate Justice Alliance has called for the abolition of fossil fuels and nuclear energy, and the groups have also advocated for Palestinians following the outbreak of the Israel-Hamas war in 2023. This is ridiculous. This is a gross mismanagement of funds. Gross mismanagement of funds. That could be a meme right there. This picture, this is Biden explaining how he's going to screw everybody over. Yeah, this is how I'm going to stick it to him, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. This is how I'm going to stick it to the American people. And it's just money. It's just money. It's not my money. It's not my money. Oh, here's a slap in the face for you. Who has this article? I think this is an LA Times article. Interviewing migrants who are trying to cross the border. U.S.-bound migrants say that the election doesn't matter because you're going to suffer whoever the president is. Okay. In a forlorn stretch of high desert outside Mexico City, a dozen migrants trudged along beside a set of railroad tracks, hoping to jump on a freight train that would take them closer to the United States. They said they were only vaguely aware of the U.S. presidential election, which is only a few days away, and what their role might be in it. According to them, they don't know much about American politics, but whoever wins, wins. But I know this, whoever the victor, things won't be easy for us immigrants. Then why the hell are you coming? If you're going to, if you think it's going to be a big shit show when you get here, why are you coming? Why are you coming here? Why are you going to rub it in our face that we're going to suffer no matter who the president is? You're just going to add to our suffering by causing us to foot the bill for your existence? Is that the idea? I love how the cameraman found the one woman with kids. Oh, there's a guy with a kid here and another woman. Everybody else looks like dudes. That might be a woman right there. Because you know most of the people crossing the border are male, adult males from all over the world. So they think we're going to suffer no matter who the president is. And they think life's going to be hard for them. Why are you coming here? Who invited you? You know what's going to be an issue. You know what's going to be, or could be a big issue. And this is something a lot of people have not thought about. Baki says, what's your thoughts? Will the election cause much turmoil, or will it be the same thing of paying bills and dragging ourselves to work? Yeah, you're going to trudge on paying bills and dragging yourself to work. There's a lot of people that are probably going to throw a fit either way. It depends. We'll see how far that goes. I think it'll be really bad if people think the election was hijacked, because there are many people who believe it already happened. That already happened once, and they think if they think it's going to happen again, there are a lot of individuals who might believe that they've got nothing left to lose. That they have nothing left to lose. But no one's going to think it's stolen if Trump wins. This is a Washington Examiner article, and this is something a lot of people haven't thought about. Even not voting migrants give Democrats 14 more electoral votes. Says the influx of millions of migrants have shifted political power in the nation to Democrats, even though they are not allowed to vote, according to a new analysis of the Electoral College and constitutional representation. While they may be considered non-citizens, illegal and legal migrants are counted by census, and those numbers are used to shift congressional districts, which affect electoral votes, according to two new studies from the Center for Immigration Studies. Immigration shifts political power in the United States. without a single immigrant having to vote. Seats in the U.S. House of Representatives and thus votes in the Electoral College are apportioned among the states based on each one's total population, not by the number of legal citizens or residents. In two reports just issued, CIS said the 2020 census shifted 17 House seats and led to a gain for Democrats of 14 seats and electoral votes, which are based on House seats. Since that census and during the Biden-Harris administration, 10 million more illegals have come into the U.S., a number that alone could shift 13 more electoral votes. And as you all know, we talked about this a lot. The popular vote isn't what seals the deal. It's not what seals the deal. How many times have we seen an election where somebody wins the popular vote and then the Electoral College kicks them in the teeth? Because that's the real deciding factor. When they sit up in Congress and vote on your behalf based on who can get away with how many on account of how many citizens they have in their district. Kimberly says, coming to drain our resources. I don't care who comes as long as they do it legally, contribute to their own well-being. I can't argue with that. Fluke Man says illegals are there for freebies. They commit crimes in catch and release systems and possibly even spies and infiltrators. Nature Nerd says from 2022 to 2023, things go so bad that 1.1 million Cubans flooded America. That's 10% of their population. The illegal immigrants will affect the next election more than this election, as more and more of them are allowed to vote. Kimberly says this is wrong, that the Electoral College needs to vamoose. Yeah, good luck. And this is also part of what is meant when Elon Musk said on Joe Rogan, hey, this could be your last chance. As they continue to pour over the border, this could be your last chance. And then the America you thought you knew will be gone forever. Nature Nerd says California has multiple extra seats from the population census from illegals that cannot even vote. And that shouldn't be a thing. That should not be allowed. It's bad enough that when it all boils down, that your popular vote doesn't count the way you think it does. It doesn't count the way you think it does. That's how George Bush Sr. lost to Clinton, if I remember correctly, right? It's the Electoral College. The Electoral College. And then what are you going to do? Then what are you going to do? So does your vote even really actually count? It's an important question. And I'm not telling you not to vote. You go vote if you want to. Fluke Man says, if I sell all my properties illegally, enter the U.S. with my money and still get everything paid for me, it doesn't seem bad at all. I'll be set for life. You could try moving to France. What they're doing here is what France has been going through since World War II. It's one of the big tragedies of World War II is France becoming a socialist country. And you see how great France is now. The country's destroyed. It's destroyed. Country says, would we be able to vote in an election if we stuck into another country? No. You'd end up in prison. They don't, no country allows that. No country allows that. I'm not sure about some of the Western European countries because it seems to be a Western problem all the way around. Seems to be a Western problem all the way around. And Cruising says, don't move to France, move to Argentina. Move to Argentina. There you go. Yeah, don't move to France. France is a disaster at this point. And it's the socialist government that's run it down. First, they were destroyed by Germany, and when they rebuilt it, they became a socialist country. And it's like, hey guys, you were just destroyed by a socialist country. Now you want to be another one. Yeah, that's a fantastic choice. Fantastic choice. Didn't work out too well for them. France is in dire straits, and it gets worse and worse all the time. It gets worse all the time. The poor French, they turned on their own people. They really did. I've talked about it before, and you can find stories about it that when the Germans rolled in and occupied France, there was very little resistance. And they confiscated everybody's bicycles and radios. And most people, there's a lot to think about here. And I know I'm over my time limit, but just making the point really quickly. When you want to talk about sheeple, they were ordered to turn in their bicycles and they were ordered to turn in their radios, which the majority of the French population did without question. And the collection of the bicycles and radios were orchestrated by the French police in cooperation with the Germans to help maintain order. Let that just sink in for a while. But with that, we are at the top of the hour. We're actually past the top of the hour. Again, you are listening to and/or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com. Special thanks to Rodney, who made a donation to the channel here today. Very much appreciated. I still have Daniel and I still have Granny Smith. There she is, knocked out on the floor. Poor Granny Smith. She gets underfoot a lot. If I move and she sees me, she runs right under me every time. So again, special thanks to Rodney for making a donation to the channel. Thanks again to everyone who has been able to help with the GoFundMe so far for the shelter cats. Thank you, everyone else, for joining us here this afternoon. We'll see how things turn out. We'll see how things turn out. I hesitate to speculate on how the election is going to actually turn out. So, hope you got something out of the conversation, and we will see you again